Hi, welcome to this live call. Thanks for being on here with me. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Rachel Slim. I'm a divorce coach for men, and I help men get their exes out of their heads, get the overwhelming emotion under control, and really start to move forward with their lives. And I have worked with hundreds of men at this point, and I've talked to many, many more. And there is a pattern that I see again and again that doesn't get talked about a lot. That is the impact that the divorce is having on their careers, on their ability to work. And so I really want to talk about it today because the impact I see here is huge, but I think it gets ignored and neglected. So one of the things that I hear is again and again is that the divorce triggers so many painful emotions that it becomes really, really difficult to show up and focus at work. And now on the kind of common everyday side, I hear a lot of guys saying, I've had to take some time off, taken a sabbatical. I have to be careful or fulfill a different role at work because I really can't focus, or my work is kind of dangerous, but I'm not able to be present enough. So I hear tons of guys having to take time off of work, and they're lucky if they can do that without consequences. But I often hear even more extreme stories. Just last week, I was talking to a gentleman. It's now been years since his divorce, and he has recovered. But he was recalling how when he got divorced, he was running multiple businesses, making multiple six figures a year, doing really, really well. And the divorce just brought him to his knees emotionally. He had so much shame and feelings of failure, like he had failed himself, failed his family, failed his wife. He was in despair, he was in depression. And he found himself in a relatively short period of time, I think it was about a year, both of his businesses closing. He took a job paying about $60K a year. So he went from multiple six figures in income and to $60K a year, from owning his own businesses and being really successful to working for somebody else. And as he was telling me this story, he said the worst part was that I didn't care. Right? The emotional pain was so intense, the depression was so strong that he didn't even care that he had just lost his businesses. And these stories are not that uncommon. I have another client who started working with me about 6 years after his divorce. And he too had gone from living the high life, beautiful house, beautiful cars, huge vacations. His divorce was so emotionally stressful that he gave almost all of it to his ex, ended up sleeping in his van and staying on friends' couches, and then ended up working this crappy job doing the night shift for years and couldn't get himself out of it. So in the better cases, I meet guys who just have had to take a few days off. Maybe they've taken a sabbatical for a month, or maybe they're still going to work. They're just having a hard time focusing. Those are the good cases. Then there's the ones where it gets so extreme that they lose hundreds of thousands of dollars, that their businesses go under, that they lose their jobs. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because it's hard in general for most men to invest time or money in their mental and emotional health. It's not your fault. It's because you guys get it hammered into your head your whole lives, but that's not a priority, right? You're supposed to man up and be tough and don't cry and don't be a sissy. And, you've got bigger fish to fry, more important things to deal with. So that's going to wait. And a lot of men, I see this again and again, think that they're putting their family or even their careers first by not prioritizing their own mental and emotional health. You guys, this is serious. The devastating emotions, the overwhelm, the pain, the depression, the shame, the regret, the anger, when those emotions are overwhelming and they're impacting you, or when you have thoughts of your wife or soon-to-be ex-wife or ex-wife running through your head, and those thoughts won't stop, and they're interrupting your sleep, and they're interfering with your ability to focus, that's impacting every area of your life. And I see it again and again impacting men at work. On the flip side, there's something that's really cool that happens when men move past that, when they get those emotions under control, when they get those spiraling thoughts to stop. When that happens, the really cool outcome is that there's all these side effects. And one of my favorite side effects is that they tend to get promotions or see their businesses grow. And I see this again and again with men doing this work with me in coaching, is as they get past this emotional pain, as they learn to get the thoughts and emotions under control, suddenly they're getting a promotion, a new job offer. They're starting a new business, or they're starting a side gig that's letting them quit their 9-to-5 job. So this is a big deal on both sides. Right? If you don't prioritize your mental and emotional health, it can cost you financially hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can cost you your career. It can cost you your livelihood. But on the flip side, if you learn how to effectively handle those intense emotions, you can make a lot of money. And I think this is equally important because when you're going through a divorce, especially if you have significant assets, the divorce sucks because you're going to have to give at least 50% of those assets to her. Maybe you have to keep paying her spousal support or alimony for a while or child support. And so a lot of men feel like, here I had this whole vision, this dream, I was going to retire, I had these plans, and now she's taking all my money in addition to destroying my family. So for you guys, if you're in that situation, I want you to know when you really master rebalancing your nervous system, harnessing the power of those emotions instead of letting them hijack your brain, managing those thoughts and getting her out of your brain, I consistently see men skyrocketing in their careers, their businesses, making more money after the divorce as a side effect of learning how to deal with the intense emotions that came up. Because I think what happens for most men is that you guys are really good at suppressing what you feel. Right? You've learned to do that. You've learned to power through, to deal with it, to push on, to ignore it, to get over it. But then the divorce happens and it doesn't work anymore because this is too big. This is the loss of your family, your wife, your future, your dreams. It's too much. And you're human. And there is no human that has the superpower of suppressing all of that. And so now you're hit with this wave. It's like being, I don't know, in the surf in the ocean, when you get caught there in the surf and you just keep getting smashed under and under and under by every wave, and you can like barely get a breath in between and you can't get out. That's the emotional intensity. And so of course you're struggling at work. Of course it's hard to focus. Right? You're in survival mode in that moment, and you're just trying to figure out how to get through this. So the other things fall by the wayside. And so this is why in my coaching, one of the first things we do is we focus on emotional regulation. And I give you the tools to not suppress those feelings, but to really free yourself from them so that regardless of what comes up, you can still think clearly, have energy and focus. There's not that brain fog, and you can make good decisions for yourself. You can focus at work if you need to. Another piece of that is helping to still those thoughts. All of that questioning, why did she do this? How did we get here? What was my role in it? We also work to quiet those spiraling thoughts, and that gives you another level of ability to focus, direct your attention, succeed in the workplace. So, guys, my hope in this live call today is to really force across the importance of taking care of your mental and emotional health during a divorce, because this is a big deal. And how you're feeling emotionally is impacting everything. And it's definitely impacting you financially through your work. And if you can't focus, if you have to miss days, if you have to take a month off, or if you can't lead in your business, if you can't make good choices, if you can't focus on those expense reports or whatever it is you need to get done, it's costing you money. And I invite you to consider for a moment, if something happened that made it so you couldn't work. Like, let's say your car breaks down and it's bad and it needs a whole new engine, and it's going to cost $5,000 to fix it, and you're going to have to rent a car for a few days while it's in the shop. How many days are you going to miss work before you decide to invest in getting that car fixed? Most people don't even miss a day, regardless of their financial situation, because it's that important. And yet I see men again and again and again discounting their mental health because other things are more important. While in that very moment, they're struggling at work. Their business is limping along. Their boss is worried about them. They're taking time off, not to mention the impact that their emotional state is having on their relationship with their kids, their ability to co-parent, not even thinking about their future and potentially having new relationships. But that emotional state impacts everything. But it's my hope today, as I'm talking this through, that you're seeing that your emotional state also impacts you financially. Because honestly, I think seeing that pain point might be the push that some of you need to really decide to commit to, whether it's investing time or money or both, to commit to your own emotional well-being. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, you guys. I will tell you, if you want the fast track, I just opened the doors to my 90-day accelerated coaching program. It starts December 1st. I've got, I think, about 10 spots left in that program right now, so it is filling up. But in that path, I'm going to give you daily, this is what to do today, tomorrow, the next day, so that you can get those emotions under control, get your ex out of your head, and be able to really be you again at work, with your kids, and all aspects of your life. And I do want to emphasize that that transformation, the emotional piece, it doesn't have to take that long. It can take 30 days or less. I recently had a client, you can even see an interview I did with him, Mark, here on YouTube. He said in the first week of learning these emotional regulation tools, holy cow, these overwhelming emotions, they're mostly gone. And when I do get overwhelmed, I know exactly what to do to get out of it. Right? And he was in a place where, he had a night not very long before he started working with me where he said if his daughters weren't there, he probably wouldn't have made it through that night. Maybe that's the other piece to say, guys, is this isn't just costing you financially. Your emotional state can be life-threatening. It is for so many men during divorce. I had a call with a man just yesterday who said the same thing. There was that night where I decided to have a few drinks in the early stages of the divorce, and it all came out, and it was too much. And thank God my kids were there, because I don't know that I would have made it through that night without it. And a lot of men don't make it. Right? But often that's not enough, which is so interesting. But I think it's the conditioning that men receive to really devalue their own emotions or their mental health. That even when it's that bad, there's something in you that says, well, just stand up, push through, power on. You've got this. You got to be a dad. You got to go to work. You got to take care of it. So I'm really hoping that today you can start to see that this emotional impact, this emotional state, it is impacting everything, including your work, including your financial bottom line, but also your safety potentially your relationships, definitely your future. Working with me is not the only way to do this, guys. There's so many ways. You can work with a therapist or counselor. You can watch YouTube videos and get the tools you need. There's so much good content here on YouTube, some of it in my videos, a lot of it in other people's. But I will tell you this, if you do this on your own, you have got to commit to it. And I don't mean commit to watching videos, because you can watch videos for hours and nothing's going to change. You're going to get good insights. Maybe you'll feel a little better, but you're not doing that core, deeper work on your own emotions, on your nervous system. So if you're going to go the route of doing this by yourself, you need to find the exercises here on YouTube for emotional regulation. There's meditation techniques, visualizations, breathing exercises, mantras, self-concept work. There's a lot of different tools. But you have to find tools and you have to do them, practice them consistently, because it's the work you do on yourself, the time you spend internally, that's going to make the difference. That's going to get you back to balanced. It's going to get your ex out of your thoughts, going to get you back to the place where you feel like you again. And that's the place where you're going to start to see your financial situation changing or the work happening in your career or business changing. That's what's really, really fun in this work, because guys come to it and they're like, well, I need to survive this divorce, or I need to get through this and be able to co-parent. Or gosh, I'd really love to have a relationship someday, but that seems impossible right now. And we're working on those things around the divorce. And it's like a side effect that they get the promotion or the new job offer, or their business takes off, or they start that side business they always wanted to start. But the reality is that your mental and emotional state is so critically important. It is what enables you to achieve amazing things, including financial wealth, and it is also what will hold you back and keep you stuck. So I may be hounding on this in this live today, so thank you guys for staying with me. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. What I'm really hounding this on for you is I hope that you will make the choice one way or another. If you want to work with me, you can book a discovery call. There's a link there in the chat. You can work with a therapist, do it on your own on YouTube, take a workshop or a program, whatever you want to do. But I hope that one way or another, something in this video has sparked for you that there is no more important work to be doing. There is nothing to push this aside for. I just had a guy the other day, he said, I really would like to do this work, but the divorce is happening and my kids need this and that. And, there's some big things going on at work. So I think that my sad little boy feelings have to just wait. And that mindset is so, so common among men because, again, that's what you're taught. But those sad little boy feelings, they're impacting everything. And for this guy, they're impacting the legal process. They're impacting his performance at work. They're impacting his relationship with his kids. They're definitely impacting what's possible for him in the future. So those sad little boy feelings are not something to be ignored or pushed aside. They're something that needs to be understood so that you can work with them and be in the driver's seat of that emotional experience so that it can't ruin your career, your business, your co-parenting relationship, your shot at a future romantic relationship. So I hope that message is coming through today, guys. I really appreciate you being with me live. Again, if you'd like to fast track this, do this work with me, the doors are open to that 90-day program. If you're interested, book a discovery call. You'll be talking directly to me, and my goal on that call will be to make sure it's a good fit for the stage that you're in. And honestly, that you're a good fit for the program because this is work. It does require you to be committed. But the cool thing about this work is that if you're committed, again, whether you do this with me or you do it on your own or with a therapist, if you commit to it, it works. And this has been the shocker for me, you guys, is of the men who show up and consistently do the exercises every single day, 100% of them get where they want to go. Their emotions calm down, their nervous system comes into balance, they get control over their thoughts, they're no longer taken off in that anxiety fear spiral, worrying why, what if, what's going to happen next, how could she do this? And when those things happen, when they get control of what they're feeling and what they're thinking, well, then the real cool changes happen. That's when the promotions come. That's when the business succeeds. That's when their relationships with their kids get better than it ever was while they were still married. That's when they have good legal outcomes. That's when they start dating and meet an amazing woman and have a healthier relationship with her just a few months into it than they ever did with their ex-wife. There's so many side effects in the good of learning to manage effectively your mental and emotional state, just as there's so many terrible side effects of not being able to do that. So I do see every single person that attempts this and commits to it, they can get there, it works. What I also see is that a lot of people don't commit. They don't appreciate enough how important it is and the difference it can make. And when I've been doing this work with divorced men for a couple of years now, and I've learned so much from you guys. And as I started to realize how powerful this work was, I wanted everyone to have it. And those of you who have been following me on YouTube know there's a lot of it here, right? You can get a lot of these tools just in these videos. And I wanted to make it really accessible. So I did a lot of inexpensive programs. I did a lot of discounts. I gave people scholarships. I would do free sessions. I was like, I want everyone to have access to these tools. But then I realized that wasn't helping because so many of those men didn't show up consistently to do the work. They weren't invested in it. They didn't have any skin in the game. It was just like one more thing they're going to try, and they weren't committed to it. In doing this work, you guys, it's like any kind of exercise. And if you buy a Peloton and it sits in your closet and you never get on it, you're not going to get fit. I can be the personal trainer. I can give you the step-by-step, tell you each day what you need to do. You can also get that with a therapist, or you can pick it apart in these videos and do it on your own online. I can give you all of the tools, all of the strategies, all of the evidence of how it works, but you still have to get up and get on that bike every day. And it's less time than you think, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes a day. Again, that 30 days is the initial critical period to really commit to it. And if you do, you will see a huge difference. But what I'm learning is that my role as a coach, and as I'm marketing coaching and trying to encourage you to try these strategies, try these techniques, my job isn't to give it to you for free or just make the steps accessible and say, here, go with it. I can only help you if I can convince you to commit. If I can convince you to show up every single day for yourself and do the work. So that's what I'm hoping to do in this video, is light a little fire. Because, if your car broke down and you needed it to get to work, you would prioritize fixing the car. But when your thoughts and your emotions break down, The tendency of most men is to push them to the side and just try to get on with it. But the reality is it doesn't work. You're struggling, right? You're struggling in your relationships, you're struggling in your job. So it's time to really admit that that's true and really perhaps consider that this myth you've been told your whole life, that emotions are for girls, emotions are for sissies, you need to just suck it up and man up and power through, that maybe that's a little bit of bullshit, right? Because your emotional state is impacting everything. And there really is nothing more important than to learn how to manage your mental and emotional state effectively, regardless of the intensity of the external circumstances. If you're going through a divorce, you've just been thrust into some really difficult external circumstances. So this is the time where you need more than ever to have these tools to get control of that mental and emotional state. Okay, guys, I've been really pushing this today. I appreciate you staying with me. Thank you for being here and watching. I'm going to hop off. There's a couple of resources in the chat. If you would like to work with me in this 90-day program, go ahead and book a discovery call. If you want to explore some options and some exercises for this emotional work for yourself, go ahead and watch that Divorce Survival Guide for Men, that video. It's going to go through 9 different emotional stages of divorce that I see most men experiencing, and it will give you some concrete tools to practice at each one. So I hope that you find something motivating or helpful here, and I hope you'll really commit to mastering your mental and emotional states in these next 30, 60, 90 days. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you here on YouTube again soon.